So we're now with Sabrina Wong, and Sabrina, I always start off with the same question. Who you for?
So I'm the daughter of Bonnerly Connor and the late James Williams.
All right, and so where you at these days?
I'm in Worsley, which is in Greater Manchester in the United Kingdom.
Okay, so you're over there in England, and so England does have a lot of COVID all around, and that sort of stuff. You got a lot of cases every day that's being reported there?
Yes, loads of cases, loads of deaths from the results of COVID.
So what's it like living in an area that has COVID all around you?
In the beginning, it was quite fearful because I was not being educated on the true impact of the virus. So you can hear about the death tolls, but until it becomes personal, then you really don't have a true understanding of what's entailed in it. So preventive measures. So I live in a village, so it's a small village. So anything within the village would quickly spread. So just making sure I take extra precautions, doing things such as cleaning my front door even, not really having visitors come over because you don't know who they're in contact with. So you want to prevent the spread of the virus. I would say the first 6 months of COVID was basically shut in, where there was absolutely no movements at all. Just because didn't understand what was happening and wanted to be educated and to have sound understanding of how this virus spread and what was the impact of the virus.
And the vaccine came out eventually, but I know you and I were kind of talking a little bit before, and you weren't always very pro-vax. In fact, you made the statement that you were anti-vax.
Yes, I was anti-vax. And the reason for that is I look at there's a large death toll of common flu here in the United Kingdom every year. So my rationale is, well, if there's so many dying from the common everyday flu, why isn't a vaccine for it? You have the flu jab, which patients get annually. So why isn't there a vaccine for that? Because people do die from it. The results is similar.
And then, I shared some information with you as well just recently and showed you, over a 10-year period, there was far less deaths than the year and a half of COVID deaths here in the United States where I am. And of course, there's other things that I guess at some point made you change your mind to get vaccinated, right?
Yeah, so I realized that the vaccine, doing a bit of research, I realized that the vaccine does not actually prevent you from getting the virus, but what it does is to minimize the symptoms that you would get with the virus. And therefore, you would be able to recover quickly and not be critical. There was a point here where I live in Manchester where there was no hospital beds available for patients. The NHS had run to full capacity. So you had patients that were calling into their GPs because of the symptoms and needing to get assistance. And that's when I think the country was basically said, okay, we're going to go on a second lockdown to see if we can curb this. Right now, people are still very fearful because we're coming up to the autumn, going into winter. Which is where you normally see the spike of the common flu. So we're expecting the spike of COVID to go up, but at the same time, the message that we have received and been adhering to is make sure that you continue your safety measures, continue with your gloves, with your mask. We used to wear gloves, not so much now. We use the antibacterial cream for your hands, and making sure that you're clean. So once you go out, make sure that when you come back in, you take a shower, get rid of those clothes or get those clothes into wash quickly. Keep disinfecting your household. It was the case where even going to the supermarket, where predominantly was ordering groceries online. But here in Europe, we have food shortage and also petrol shortage. So it's a case that you do have to go. You can order these stuff, but they may not come to you. So you do have to go. So it's either you're gonna not have food or you're gonna go and get food. That's what that is essentially comes down to.
But for the most part, you're okay going out to restaurants,
Yeah.
or
Oh,
just got to
yeah.
take some safety measures.
Yeah, so you take the safety measures, maybe getting there a bit earlier, just making sure that you wipe down. So if you're going to sit in a seat, you know, you may choose to wipe that down, just for your well-being. If you're going to sit at a table with say for example, you're out with friends, they live in a different household than you do, then you still want to make sure. So whereas before you'd probably greet someone with a hug, you're not reluctant to do that right now. You're less reluctant to do it because you don't know who they've been in contact with, and how quickly the virus can spread.
So, you know, a good amount of Cayman is fully vaccinated. We got more than 70% of people back home are fully vaccinated, and the numbers are going up. So it's good, but it's not exactly where it should be. We're hoping for higher 80s, even in the 90s would be awesome, because we know there's a small percentage of people that just can't get the vaccine as well because of health reasons. But
Underlying measures.
yeah, absolutely. So Cayman, you know, overall better than most of the world, but not exactly where we need to be. What would be your message to them when it comes to getting vaccinated?
So my message would be to go out and get the vaccination. It may not prevent you. That's okay. It may not prevent the spread of the virus, but it would decrease the symptoms that you would have. And for me personally, I felt like we were living in fear. So can't continue to live in fear, to make sure and put extra measures in place, adhere to the regulations, and you know, continue with life. I know that Cayman does not have its like factories or so forth. So we rely heavily on tourism. So right now that industry is flat out. So we do need people, we do need persons to come in. We do need to have revenue coming into the country. So I would say, you know, as people who are there, do what you need to do to ensure that we can have some kind of normalcy. I don't know what the effect is mentally in Cayman, but I've seen over here, we've had persons who have, but being in isolation for so long or being in lockdown for so long, persons have gone out and, you know, attempted to commit suicide. So it's hard because everybody's basically in the same situation, and we're trying to just all go back to what was once normal, but in a healthy way, ensuring that everybody is safeguarded.
Yeah, I know mental health is a big part of this. I know Cayman, actually, unlike when you and I were growing up there, you know, mental health wasn't really talked about. You never really heard much about it, but I would say over the last few years, they have really done a better job at focusing a bit more on it. Still a good ways to go, but they do have a hotline that people could also call, and other resources that people could now tap into that really I don't think was there when we were growing up. At least we never ever heard about it and stuff.
I think because it was a taboo subject, so it was something that was not necessarily discussed. I think in latter years, it's become more transparent, and people are willing to open up and expose their vulnerabilities, just explain what they're feeling, what they're sensing, what they're going through. I just think we're all in this together, you know. I personally, I've had in October 2020, my father was terminally ill. So I had to make the painstaking decision to return back to Cayman. That in itself was a challenge because I know what I was going for mentally, but then to travel during the peak of COVID, I left home basically not knowing if I was going to be able to get on that flight because so I had got permission to enter into Cayman, but Britain was closing down that day, the exact same day, like 12 o'clock that morning. So, and my flight was due to depart Britain at 9 a.m. And I live all the way up north. So I have to travel like the day before to get down south to be able to fly out to Cayman. And it was nerve-wracking. I was like, I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to take this chance.
Yeah, that's a real, and I didn't even think about that as much. You might have a loved one back home who might be going through some serious health troubles, like when your dad was going through his, and just the ability to get home. My goodness, I can only imagine the stress that you were going through. I mean, that is tough, and I'm sorry that you had to go through that. And that just stinks. That's all I can say. And
Yeah, it certainly does.
to you and your family.
Thank you.
Yeah. But Sabrina, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. We're trying to show that yes, we could live in a world with COVID all around us. We just have to take our necessary precautions. And I'm glad that you changed your mind about getting vaccinated. You've done your part to again promote public health, and that's what we really need to do. So thank you very much for the time.
You're welcome. Thank you, Kevin. It's always a pleasure chatting with you.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
You're welcome. Thank you.